Picture this. You open your bank app, and right there on the screen, your balance crosses 50 lakh rupees. For most of us, this is the ultimate finish line. You lean back, take a deep breath, and assume the stress is over. But that moment of relief is a trap. Hitting that number does not mean your financial life is set on autopilot. Instead, it triggers a shift in the rules governing your money, one that many investors fail to see until it's too late. Building lasting wealth is split into two distinct phases. There is Game 1, accumulation, where you build your base from a standard salary, and then there is Game 2, preservation, where the mechanics of growth change. Misunderstanding this two-game structure often results in low earners never starting at all, while those who finally reach the peak end up back at zero because they didn't realize the rules they used to get rich will now bankrupt them. Let's look at Game 1. Escaping the gravity of a low salary requires an inversion of how you interact with your paycheck. The standard approach is to earn money, spend what you need on rent and lifestyle, and then try to save whatever is left at the end of the month. The wealthy operate in reverse. They get paid, carve out their savings target first, and then build their lifestyle strictly around what remains. To execute this, you have to lock down a specific metric called your burn rate. This is your total monthly income minus your total monthly expenses. Identifying this exact leftover amount is your launchpad. Once you find your monthly burn rate, you multiply that number by 6. That total is your baseline emergency fund. You need this solid block of cash sitting safely in a bank account before you even think about opening an investment app. In Game 1, building a foundation relies less on high-stakes capital and more on the duration of your market exposure. Consider Amar and Samar. Amar decides to enjoy his early 20s and starts investing heavily at age 20-30, putting away a large chunk of his salary every month. Samar starts at age 18, putting in a tiny fraction of what Amar contributes. By age 25, despite Amar contributing significantly more total cash out of his pocket, Samar's portfolio is significantly larger. His early start allowed compounding interest to do the heavy lifting, meaning his money generated its own money over those extra 5 years. But Game 1 has a recurring obstacle: lifestyle inflation. The moment your salary increases, you will feel a sudden urge to buy status symbols, an expensive phone, or a luxury car to prove to others that you are making money. This instantly neutralizes your burn rate and halts your compounding engine. Winning Game 1 is not about scoring a high salary. It is about protecting your burn rate from your own ego while letting time do the heavy lifting. So you stay disciplined, and one day you cross that 50 lakh rupee mark. You expect total relief. Instead, you are hit with a wall of new complexities. The math changes at this level. A 50 lakh portfolio generating a standard 12% return is yielding roughly 50,000 rupees a month. Your returns are now rivaling an average Indian starting salary without requiring a single day of physical labor. But this new level of wealth attracts new threats. First is the burden of advanced taxation. As your capital grows, you trigger income tax surcharges and long-term capital gains taxes. If you aren't actively managing your tax liabilities, you are bleeding money. Second is the vulnerability of unprotected assets. When you have zero net worth, you have nothing to lose. At 50 lakhs, a 1 crore term plan and a robust super top-up health insurance policy become mandatory. Without them, a single medical disaster can erase 7 years of disciplined investing in an afternoon. A significant psychological risk in Game 2 is the house money effect. Reaching a large financial milestone gives investors a false sense of security. The capital stops feeling like hard-earned savings and starts feeling like a disposable bonus. This chart illustrates how destructive that mindset can be. We see a sharp plunge where an investor, feeling invincible after hitting their target, decides they can afford to take massive bets on highly volatile SME IPOs to speedrun their way to 1 crore. This is the irony of Game 2. The risk-taking and confidence that helped you win Game 1 are the exact traits that can bankrupt you once you've crossed the threshold. To survive the complexities of Game 2, you have to transition from a saver to a wealth manager. A wealth manager knows the biggest threat to their portfolio is their own worst impulses, so they lock their capital into a strict automated framework called the 3-bucket system. Bucket 1 is stability, emergency funds and short-term bonds that you can access instantly. Bucket 2 is growth, broad equity index funds meant to be completely untouched for 15 years. And bucket 3 is opportunity, a strictly capped tiny allowance for high-risk bets. By capping the opportunity bucket, you contain the damage. The most stable portfolios are often the most boring ones, where owners intentionally ignore hype and stock tips. The market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Identify which game you are currently playing. Build your automated systems, lock away your capital, and embrace the boring path to true financial freedom.